AITA for being truthful and admitting that I find my wife unattractive after her surgery. Recently, my wife underwent plastic surgery, a decision we had talked about, but one I was opposed to. Ultimately, though, it wasn't up to me, and I had no real say in the matter. Now, when I look at her, something feels off. She's had fat removed from her face, got lip fillers, a neck lift, and some other procedures that I can't quite wrap my head around. To be honest, she gives me this eerie feeling like something out of the uncanny valley. It's unsettling. Even though she's fully healed now, she's eager for us to return to our normal routine, including me initiating intimacy. But it's not as easy as flicking a switch. When I do initiate, I prefer to keep the lights dim, trying to minimize any discomfort I might feel. It's just not the same as it used to be. It's been a few months since my wife had her plastic surgery, and I find myself dreading having to face her. It's obvious she's noticed something's off. She's been pestering me, wanting to know what's wrong. I've tried everything to avoid the truth, saying I'm tired from work or just feeling run down, anything except admitting the real reason. Eventually, she couldn't take it anymore and confronted me, asking if I was having an affair. I assured her I wasn't and even handed over my phone for her to check, not worried because there's nothing to find. She spent a whole hour scrolling through it, finding nothing suspicious. But she wasn't satisfied. She wanted to know why I'd changed. I struggled to find the right words, but none of my explanations seemed to suffice. She kept pushing, digging deeper. Finally, I mustered up the courage to tell her the truth, gently expressing that her new appearance wasn't something I found appealing, which had affected my desire. When she asked about my preference for dim lighting during intimate moments, I couldn't deny it. Her reaction was heartbreaking. She started crying and said she needed some time alone, deciding to stay with her sister. It wasn't easy to see her hurt, but I couldn't keep lying to her. Now I'm left wondering how we can move forward from here. Since revealing my feelings about my wife's plastic surgery, I've been hit with every insult imaginable. Her sister didn't hold back, calling me a piece of shit for supposedly insulting my wife's appearance. Her friends haven't been any kinder, labeling me as the jerk in this situation. I've tried to keep my thoughts to myself, but it's not like I can just flip a switch and suddenly find her new look appealing. It's not that I don't love her anymore. It's just that her altered face is difficult for me to get used to. I still care deeply for her, but there's no denying that her features now remind me of that blue alien from The Fifth Element. It's a struggle trying to navigate this new reality without hurting her feelings further. Update: 3 days later. Yesterday, my wife and I finally sat down and had a much-needed conversation. She opened up to me about the real reason behind her decision to undergo surgery. As it turns out, my wife's decision to undergo plastic surgery wasn't entirely hers alone. Her mom and sister were the ones pushing her towards it, fueled by their own insecurities and misguided beliefs. They painted a picture of aging that filled her with fear, convincing her that if she didn't take action, I might stray in search of someone younger. In a bid to support their perspective, her mom even went as far as funding the procedures herself. This revelation shed new light on the situation, unveiling the immense external pressures my wife faced from her own family. It's a reminder of how influential our loved ones can be, for better or for worse, and the importance of standing firm in our own beliefs despite such pressures. Isn't it ironic? My wife's mom and sister, the very ones who pushed her towards getting plastic surgery, could easily be mistaken for characters straight out of Escape from La. Their appearances aren't exactly what you'd call natural beauty. It's difficult to take their advice seriously when they could perhaps benefit from a little self-reflection themselves. After all, it's easy to point fingers at others without examining one's own flaws. As we sat down to talk, I couldn't help but recall some of the insightful comments I'd read on my post. They served as valuable talking points, guiding our conversation in a constructive direction. Throughout our discussion, I made it a point to reaffirm my unwavering love and commitment to my wife. I wanted her to know without a shadow of a doubt that she's the one I've chosen to share my life with, regardless of any physical alterations she may undergo. I took a moment to acknowledge that getting used to her changed appearance might not happen overnight. It's a process that requires patience and understanding from both of us. However, I assured her that I'm willing to put in the effort to appreciate these changes as they settle in. Because, at the end of the day, love transcends mere physical attributes. It's about embracing each other fully, flaws and all, and fostering a deep sense of acceptance and understanding. And that's a commitment I'm fully dedicated to upholding. My wife's suggestion of reversing the surgery caught me completely off guard. The idea of her going through more procedures, possibly worsening the situation, made me feel a deep sense of unease. It was like a wave of apprehension washed over me, leaving me filled with fear and anxiety. Despite my best efforts to stay calm, I found it challenging to keep my emotions in check. The thought of her facing the potential for further harm or damage was something I couldn't bear to imagine. All I wanted was to protect her from any additional risks or complications. Instead of immediately agreeing to her suggestion, I pleaded with my wife to grant me some time. I explained that I needed the opportunity to gradually acclimate myself to her new appearance. I wanted her to understand that my request wasn't about asking her to revert to her previous look, but rather about allowing me the space to embrace the changes that had already occurred. It was important for me to strike a balance between being honest with her about my feelings and being sensitive to her emotions. I hoped that she could see things from my perspective and appreciate the complexity of my emotions in this situation. Our conversation lasted a good 3 hours, but every minute felt worthwhile. During that time, we tackled some significant issues and made decisions that would shape our future. One of the first things we both acknowledged was the need to reclaim control over our own lives. We agreed that her mom and sister's input had often led to more harm than good, so we made a firm decision that they wouldn't be meddling in our affairs anymore. It was time to put an end to their influence and focus on what was best for us as a couple. Additionally, my wife made a heartfelt commitment not to pursue any more alterations to her appearance. This decision brought a sense of relief, as it meant I could take the necessary time to adapt to the changes that had already been made. We both understood that change doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience and understanding. We agreed that rushing into further procedures wouldn't address the underlying issues and could potentially exacerbate the situation. It was a step towards embracing acceptance and allowing our relationship to evolve naturally. Moreover, recognizing the complexity of our situation, we made the joint decision to seek professional assistance. We're seriously considering enrolling in marriage counseling sessions, viewing it as a collaborative effort to navigate through our challenges and strengthen our bond. Additionally, we both acknowledge the importance of addressing our individual struggles. As such, we're contemplating individual counseling sessions, recognizing that personal growth is an essential component of our journey toward healing and reconciliation. These steps represent our commitment to facing our issues head-on and actively working towards a brighter future together. As we look ahead, I'm committed to demonstrating to my wife on a daily basis just how much she means to me. I want her to know that my desire for her hasn't diminished and that I deeply appreciate her for the person she is inside and out. In return, my wife has pledged to trust in my love and to accept my heartfelt reassurances that she's truly beautiful just as she is. We understand that rebuilding trust and confidence takes time and patience. It's a gradual process that we're both fully committed to. Together, we're taking each step with determination, knowing that with love and understanding, we can overcome any obstacles that come our way. We've come to the conclusion that it's crucial to have a frank discussion with my wife's mom and sister. We'll be sitting down with them to explain that we need some space from their influence for a while. It's not about shutting them out forever, but rather taking a necessary break to concentrate on healing and strengthening our relationship. Blocking their contact temporarily will provide us with the breathing room we need to address our issues without any external pressures or interference. Our hope is that this time apart will allow us to rebuild and eventually welcome them back into our lives with a renewed sense of harmony and understanding. I want to express my sincere gratitude to everyone who has reached out with their support and advice during this challenging period. It's been incredibly comforting to realize that we're not alone in navigating through these difficult circumstances. Knowing that there are people out there who care and empathize with our situation has been a source of strength for both of us. On a lighter note, I couldn't help but chuckle at the unexpected number of individuals who seem to have a peculiar fascination with blue squid-like characters. It's definitely not something I anticipated encountering in the midst of all this, but hey, to each their own right. While it might not be my personal preference, I'm all for embracing diversity and celebrating individual quirks. After all, life would be pretty dull if we were all the same.